So, what if the conflicts we see tearing through the Middle East today were actually set in motion by a single decision made over 500 years ago? We're about to unpack a really fascinating and, frankly, controversial take on history that connects a 1400-year-old prophecy to the power struggles of today. It's a story about the decline of a superpower and how the echoes of that fall are still being heard right now.
Everything we're exploring today really hinges on this one powerful line from a 1400-year-old prophecy. It predicted a time when Muslims would be huge in number but totally powerless, like scum and foam on the water. This idea that the weakness comes from within, not just from outside threats, is really the core of the perspective we're going to be looking at.
But, how does a prophecy become a political reality? Well, according to the source material for this, it isn't just some spiritual warning. It's practically a historical roadmap. It draws this stark, clear line from a golden age of Islamic power to the fractured, conflict-filled world we see on the news today.
And here's where the diagnosis gets really interesting. The prophecy doesn't blame outside enemies for this weakness. Nope, it points inward, to a love for the world and a fear of death. According to this story, it was this internal decay that basically opened the door for everyone else to come in and dominate.
So this narrative basically splits history into two completely different chapters. For 1,000 years, you've got this picture of Islamic civilization as the world's leader, the center for science, culture, and military power. But that golden age is put in total contrast to the modern era, which this story says is all about division, falling behind on technology, and constant foreign intervention.
But here's the thing. This narrative doesn't see the decline as some slow, gradual thing that was bound to happen. Instead, it points to a single, catastrophic decision, a huge technological mistake made right at the peak of the empire's power. Just one choice that completely changed the course of history.
So what was this revolutionary invention? It was a machine that would change the entire world, but the reactions to it in Europe and in the Islamic world could not have been more different. And those reactions set two civilizations on completely divergent paths.
This is the moment. This is the fork in the road. When the printing press popped up in Europe, the source claims the Ottoman Caliphate, the world's leading Islamic superpower, made a fatal mistake. Its religious scholars allegedly declared the technology forbidden, which effectively shut down the mass production of books and all the knowledge inside them.
And you can see the incredible chain reaction that followed in Europe right here. More books meant more women were learning to read. More literate women meant more educated children. And those educated children led to a massive scientific revolution. I mean, is it possible that this single decision to reject a piece of technology is what allowed Europe to just leapfrog the entire Islamic world?
All right, let's fast forward to the 20th century. The Ottoman Empire, the last of the great caliphs, is gone, collapsed after World War I. The Muslim world is just shattered into pieces and dominated by European powers. But out of this weakness, new leaders start to emerge who are determined to reverse this decline and carve out a new path.
The first major player in this modern story is King Faisal of Saudi Arabia. He's presented here as a leader with this grand, epic mission to reunite the Muslim world and to push back against Western economic and military control.
And Faisal wasn't just talk. He took action. He united Arab nations in a war against Israel. And then, in a move that completely shook the globe, he unleashed the oil weapon. By cutting off oil supplies, he literally brought the West to its knees and triggered a worldwide economic crisis.
But Faisal's rise was cut tragically short. He was assassinated by his own nephew, a shocking turn of events that this narrative frames as a devastating blow to that dream of Muslim unity. This emotional quote from a TV news anchor at the time really captures that sense of loss and despair that just swept across the region. Just 4 years after Faisal was killed, a new and even more radical leader explodes onto the scene in neighboring Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini. Now, if Faisal wanted to work within the world order, Khomeini wanted to tear it all down. For him, Islam wasn't just a religion, it was a revolutionary force designed to topple the superpowers. And Khomeini's message absolutely caught fire. He led a revolution that overthrew a major U.S. ally and challenged American power head-on. The scale of his influence is almost hard to comprehend. An estimated 10 million people showed up for his funeral. That is the largest gathering of human beings in recorded history. Just think about that.
So Khomeini's revolution really set the stage for the central conflict we see in the Middle East today, that long, bitter rivalry between Iran and Israel. And according to our source, the best way to understand this rivalry is through the two men who've shaped it for decades, Khomeini's successor in Iran and a very powerful, very determined leader in Israel.
And here they are. On one side, you have Ali Khamenei, who's carrying forward Khomeini's revolutionary ideas in Iran. And on the other, you have Benjamin Netanyahu, a dominant force in Israeli politics, whose stated mission for years has been to counter the threats from Iran and its allies in the region.
Now, according to the source, Netanyahu's political career has been defined by one single-minded goal: neutralizing Iran and its allies. The narrative claims that he first went after Iraq, successfully convincing the U.S. to invade after 9/11. And then, it alleges, he used the exact same playbook to push for a war with Iran.
And this brings us to the central and pretty disturbing question at the heart of this whole narrative. Was the Iraq War, a conflict that cost hundreds of thousands of lives and trillions of dollars, just a dress rehearsal? Was it just a warm-up act for the real target, a war with Iran?
And now, this story takes a chilling turn, shifting from the past to a predicted and very, very grim future. This is the endgame, the final act in a story that supposedly began 1,400 years ago.
This predicted endgame plays out as this terrifyingly plausible scenario of just rapid escalation. It starts with a surprise U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran. Iran then retaliates against American bases. And then comes the final decisive blow. A bunker-busting bomb takes out Iran's supreme leader.
And with that, the 1,400-year story comes full circle. Another powerful Muslim leader is killed, and the 2 billion Muslims around the world can't do a thing about it. It's presented as the ultimate fulfillment of the prophecy, the final proof of a long, painful decline.
So, where does this leave us? Is this just one story, one interpretation of an incredibly complex history? Or does a 1,400-year-old prophecy really hold the key to the future of the Middle East? What do you think? Is the final chapter of this story already written, or is there still time to change the ending?